game last night. We're going to talk all about that to begin the show. We're going to stick around also today because coming up at 5 o'clock, Bernie Olivas will be here for the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl watch. Bernie, very happy Bernie Olivas after what happened in our picks last week. We'll get to that coming up in our 5 o'clock hour. And then at 6, it will be the final UTEP football with Dana Dimmel's show of the season. So if you would like to have questions for the coach, come on down and join us out here at Rudy's. And you can throw any questions you want out at Coach Dimmel, who is preparing the Miners for Senior Day against Liberty. And that'll be happening here 1:30 on Saturday, UTEP and Liberty. Also, a must for the holidays. You can always order your turkey and ham here at Rudy's and let them do all the work for you. In fact, 3.5-pound turkey breast, $50, and a 7-pound spiral glazed ham, just $65. You can order to reserve yours today and pay at pickup. That is once again out here at Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue on the west side of town here, I-10 and Artcraft, where we are here today. All right, so I probably went to sleep at 2 in the morning, stayed up, did not doze off watching the UTEP game last night. I actually was able to watch the entire game between the Miners and their opponents, which, again, you look at Cal and what they were able to do, hanging around in that game, tying it late with 6 seconds left. And you just heard John Teicher and the buzzer beater call, courtesy of 600 ESPN El Paso, Van Wagner Sports, and UTEP basketball. What a shot it was. What a redeeming shot for Tay Hardy, who just moments earlier missed 2 foul shots. And those were very important foul shots because if Tay Hardy makes just 1 of 2, it's a 2-possession game. But instead he misses both. Cal comes down, and Cone ties the game with 6 seconds left before Hardy was able to drain the game winner from the left wing as time expired. It was a perfect shot right in front of the UTEP bench. It rattled in and around. The Miners celebrated. It went all over social media for those of you that were up at just imagine, this game ended almost at 4 in the morning East Coast time. Think about that. You're up in New York, 4 a.m. is when that game nearly ended, about 3:45. It was a long, long night of college basketball. But Adrian, the Miners, at times I thought they could have beaten Cal by about 15 points, but they weren't ever able to put them away. Give Cal a lot of credit. They stayed and kept that game interesting. They tied it late. And from what I was told by my brother who attended the game last night, he said it was like a home game for Cal. 90% of the fans that were there were Cal fans. They all traveled, so it was really not a neutral site game. It was much more like a home game for Cal than it was anything else. But the Miners, when the smoke cleared, were able to stay undefeated at 5-0 and now punch their ticket into the SoCal Challenge title game coming up at 8:30 tomorrow when they play Bradley.
What a 5-0 start for the Miners, Steve. First off, they don't look. I would say they didn't look rattled in their game last night against Cal. That's what's different about this team to me. I feel like despite all the adversity that they faced in that game, despite Cal, like you mentioned, hanging around, and even tying it up late in that game, UTEP just was confident. They had so much confidence going into this game, and you could see how they're playing right now. It's unlike teams we've seen in the past where when they relinquish a lead late in the game that you start to wonder, how are they going to get offense or how are they going to get stops? This team is relentless. I like this group a lot. And, just another victory for this group right now as they continue. I'm excited about this Bradley matchup, knowing how good Bradley really is. They're also 4-0 unbeaten like the Miners. The Miners are 5-0, but they've got some quality wins under their belt, and that Braves team is a really good squad, so the Miners will be tested on Wednesday.
It was a crazy game last night. Miners had 5 players finishing in double figures. Think about that, 5. Hardy, along with Powell, Camper, Solomon, and Frazier. So, Adrian, the balance was there. The Miners shot good from the line up until the very end when, you had the two misses off that long. Tay Hardy, who redeemed himself at the end with the three-point shot. They were very well. They were strong from the line. That was a big difference to keep them in the basketball game. And it just turned into a really enjoyable back-and-forth contest. People that keep saying this team is different. That's the word I keep hearing from people. Different. They don't give up. They don't sulk. They don't hang their head. All they do is keep coming back. They have fun. They're smiling and laughing all the time and having a good time on the court. And you could just tell, they're in great shape. I don't you feel like last night they never really got tired? That's another thing. I mean, you're going up and down with that kind of defensive intensity, forcing turnover after turnover, running up and down the floor. They never slow it down. They are constantly going up and down, and I feel like they don't really run out of gas, which is so incredible.
Yeah, I felt like one of the things that really stood out to me in yesterday's win for the Miners was their defense. And you can throw intensity, you could throw conditioning in that defensive mix. Last night I left that game thinking that UTEP probably has the best defense right now that we've seen across Conference USA. And that's throwing Liberty also in that conversation, knowing how good that team is. And remember, this is all early in the season. Let's talk in February when all of this really matters. But at least it's a good start for the Miners. Look at Zid Powell. I mean, struggles shooting, but kills it on the defensive side of the ball. And then Calvin Solomon is the team's best defender. He could guard, 1 through 5 legitimately. You watch him play against guys like Cone, play against guys like Larson, and he's just getting in people's heads. I really liked the play from Calvin Solomon last night as well. I thought that defense was my biggest takeaway from this UTEP basketball squad.
How many of you stayed up till almost, 2 in the morning to watch the game? That's something else. There was no Miner talk last night, and thank God there was no Miner talk, because I'm sure John probably wrapped up the post-game show by right around maybe a little after 2. Can you imagine if you went on the air at 2 and you didn't get off till almost 4 El Paso time? Because I guarantee you there were probably enough people watching that game yesterday that would have called in from either El Paso, California, or someplace else and would have talked about it, because it was just one of those games. And I wonder how many El Pasoans started in at around 11:30, 11:40 and stuck around until that game ended before they were able to really, to take it all in, and then how do you go to bed after that? That's another thing. It is a roller coaster ride. You win on a buzzer beater. How, after that kind of an emotional game, do you possibly turn the TV off and just go to sleep at 2 in the morning?
Yeah, great question, because the way that this game really ended, it was exhilarating. It packed a lot of entertainment in this one, and it was just the opening round of this SoCal Challenge, which is also exciting in itself. Remember, this is UTEP's first win against a Power 5 team since 2020. They beat Arizona on the road on Arizona's home floor, and now they're getting a chance to beat Cal last night. So that's the first time in a little while that the Miners have done this in non-conference play, and the Miners again are undefeated to start off the season. This team has a lot of, they're just a lot of fun, Steve. I think that when fans watch this group, whether it's Corey Camper coming off the bench, it's guys like David Terrell Jr. who do all the dirty work, or Otis Frazier, who kind of gets overlooked when you're talking about the better players on this team. I think that there's a lot of things to like from a fan's perspective about this group.
I agree. So we got plenty of time to take phone calls. And by the way, terrific job, Adrian, earlier this morning, taking the game-winning call of John Teicher and matching it to the video from CBS Sportsnet and letting people hear the call with the way the game ended on the television picture. That got a ton of reaction from X, formerly known as Twitter, through all of our followers at 600 ESPN El Paso. Alfonso Frias messages in with, "I love it when Teish gets excited. He's had a front row seat to all the lows of UTEP athletics, and you can tell he is genuinely excited." Ivan, nothing beats this version with John Teicher. Adolfo, at BravesFan1313. He's the best around. He has been one of the best ever. This is from G Champion. Love this from the best voice around. And you just see those kind of comments. Carlos Silva Jr., the good stuff, talking about the call with Taish, allowing us to play the game winner. And a lot of great calls. 915 Sun City Capper. Taish should just stay in California for Saturday's basketball game. Meaning not come home to do the UTEP football game on Saturday. But no, John will be back for the football game. Rip City Trades, best version, Taish doing his thing. Rachel Phillips, John Teicher is on another level. Chi-Town Miner, the GOAT. Loved all the comments we received from playing from matching up that call and letting Miner fans enjoy it the way John called it, Adrian. Terrific stuff.
Yeah, I love the call, and what a game winner, right? Because they didn't even flinch. I thought Joe Golding illustrated it really well in the post-game interview with John Teicher. The team did not flinch when Cal hit the game-tying three-pointer. It was just Zid Powell on one end of the floor bringing up the ball. He would have taken the shot had Tay Hardy not taken the shot, but Zid Powell, a guy who can be selfless and pass that off to Tay Hardy, how many other guys are taking that shot? I mean, we've seen it before in UTEP history. That ball handler usually takes that final shot, and then maybe the game goes to overtime. Maybe Cal's able to steal this one. But no, he finds the wide-open Tay Hardy, who rattles in a three-pointer. What a heads-up play right there. And that's a veteran backcourt right there that could be contending for the best backcourt in Conference USA.
You're right. We've got a couple of awards to hand out during the first hour of the show. You're going to get a chance to hear the hot hand of the game, brought to you by Wind Supply El Paso. We also have our player of the game, which we'll announce, which is brought to you by Timothy Cantrell. So we'll do that coming up here in the first hour of the program, live from Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue. Not to mention Bernie going to be by at 5 o'clock for our Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl watch. The final UTEP football with Dana Dimmel coming up here at 6 from Rudy's. Let's go to the phones. Begin with Orly, who's first up this afternoon. Orly, welcome. How are you?
Well, that was a long game.
Yes.
That was a long game. But you know what? Our free throw shooting was better. It was 30 out of 37. And how ironic, he was 7 for 7 until the last two.
Well,
and he had and then he got the chance to have the game winner. Great.
But there's a reason why he missed the last two, Orly. He was iced by the officiating crew who spent countless minutes watching video for some stupidity. There was no foul. It was obvious he got fouled with 1 second on the clock. They could have sent him to the line instead of stopping the game. They took that game over, and unfortunately that game lasted way too long.
Oh, yeah. They had a lot. Anyway, they won. Now they paid Bradley. Bradley, didn't we just lose to them 2 years ago or last year in the Sun Bowl tournament?
That is definitely correct. Yes. UTEP lost to Bradley in the final game of the Sun Bowl Invitational in year one of Joe Golding while he was here. So that was the championship round. Bradley was really good back then. And, yeah, they beat the Miners at the Sun Bowl Invitational 73-66.
Well, apparently they're still very good.
Yeah, they're good. That's going to be a tough challenge for them. Say, real quick, watching the game last night and watching, what's his name, Kelsey drop the ball, fumble the ball. Do you think maybe there's a Taylor Swift jinx on this team now?
That's been talked about. That has been talked about. You're not the first. You won't be the last. Yeah, when she's not there, the Chiefs have lost. I think she's undefeated so far. So, they might need to bring Swift back for games just to make sure he's got his mojo.
I love it, the Taylor Swift jinx. But it wasn't him. The wide receiver's wide open. Wow, he just dropped that ball. As a 49er fan, you wanted the Eagles to get beat. I guess hopefully we'll have to take care of it in 2 weeks.
Let's hope so. Orly, appreciate you. Thanks for the call. Let's duck in George, and then we'll come back after the break as we continue here live from Rudy's. George, welcome aboard. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing awesome, bro. It was well worth it staying up until wee hours of the night, watching the Miners, pull it off against the Golden Bears. The only thing I didn't appreciate is the commentating. I mean, the commentators that were on CBS Sports were like coaching up the Golden Bears, and we're like the Rodney Dangerfield of basketball. We get no respect whatsoever. I really honestly think this group of kids are really special, and I think they just showed out. They showed out what they had, and I agree with you. They should have run away with the game. But all in all, the defense was great. The free throw shooting was excellent, and the 3-pointer counted at when it should have counted. And I'm glad we went away with a victory.
Yeah, that makes two of us. I'm glad this team was able to win, too. I wasn't sure if it was going to happen or not, but they were able to pull it off. And, look, I thought the coach who was there doing the game, I thought he was pretty complimentary. He talked a lot about Joe and being at his shoot-around and how much he loved it, and was talking about Joe and the team. And, I mean, when the Miners were running, I thought they were pretty complimentary towards UTEP. But were they a little biased towards Cal at times? Sure, but I didn't feel like it was anti-UTEP. I thought it was okay. I really did.
Well, I mean, I do agree with you, but, I mean, I still see it as it was more even, I mean, as you said, it was in San Juan Capistrano, so, I mean, that's really close to Cal. Not as close, but, you would see that there would be a lot of Cal fans there.
Well, let's put it this way, okay? If you ever want to really enjoy the experience, what you do is you turn down the sound of the basketball game on TV, and you turn up John and Steve, and then you get the best of both worlds. You get the video feed, and you get the audio from 600 ESPN El Paso.
Because it was insane hearing the play being called by John. It was just amazing. I was doing cartwheels in my house watching the game because it was that intense.
That's awesome. Love it, George. Appreciate you, man. Thanks for the phone call. Thanks for getting in. Good start here on our Tuesday edition of Sports Talk. Bernie's going to be by at 5 for the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl watch. We got more in a moment, but first, with the band back together again and Mario Gonzalez reuniting with me after years for the first time in a while, let's swing it out to Charlie One and get our first traffic update. Ending tonight's show, have a question and want to voice a question for the coach, you will be able to do that here tonight during UTEP football with Dana Dimmel. Now, some people are wondering, and they've already been asking, am I going to be asking the questions that everybody wants me to ask? And I know what those questions are. And the short answer to that is no, I will not. And I'm going to explain to you why. This is not Dana Dimmel appearing on Sports Talk as a special guest where we can ask him whatever we want. This is his coach's show that he is under contract for as part of UTEP, meaning it's his show. This is not our show. This is his show. It airs on our radio station. And therefore, we will do the show the way it's been done before to honor the radio show that he has. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't come down here to Rudy's and be part of the program. In fact, we've said this for years as we've been running coaches' shows on this radio station, that if any fan wants to come by and has a question for Coach, regardless of what that question is, we've got a microphone, and we will give you the opportunity to ask away anything Coach wants to ask. So if some of you want to throw those kind of questions out at Coach, hey, my invitation is come on down. We got the whole patio out here. We've got about 10 tables, maybe 12 tables with a lot of seats. You could probably seat about 50 people out here tonight, and we invite all of you to come down. And if you've got questions for the coach, this is the time to do it. It is the last opportunity of the season for you to do it. So that's my best advice. And like I said, we will give you the opportunity. We'll give you the mic. And if you want to come and fire questions out of Coach Dimmel, you absolutely can, because the idea is this is his show, but we always accept questions from the crowd. We are not going to tell you that you cannot ask questions. You absolutely can, but that's my best advice, Adrian, for people wondering, how this show is going to go tonight.
Well put, Steve. I feel like you covered all of it. If you want to ask a question to Coach, just head on out to Rudy's on the west side.
Yep, absolutely right. Anyway, and that's and something else. I should mention this. other media members have in the last few weeks asked some of those questions to Coach Dimmel that you've been wanting to know. They have. They've. Rachel Phillips has asked that question to Coach. Colin Deaver has asked that question to Coach, and he has answered it in a way that he doesn't get. He's not getting upset. He's not going to start yelling at the people for asking that question. But he's also, if somebody wants to ask Dana Dimmel, "Are you coming back next season? Or do you think you'll be back next season?" It's a great question, and I think he'll answer it yes, because that's how he's been talking to the media locally about it. And I feel like that's how he's going to he's going to answer it. But unless you throw those questions out there today during the last hour from 6 to 7 for UTEP football with Dana Dimmel, that's the only way we'll know. So again, you're all invited. It's here at Rudy's. We have a microphone. We are awaiting Miner fans, and you can ask and fire away whatever you want. And by the way, also, special guest today will be Cade McConnell. So he will be joining us as well, Adrian, during the UTEP Football with Dana Dimmel show. Last week it was Torrance Burgess. Today it'll be Cade here at Rudy's.
Man, what a great guest. Somebody who is our very own. So, maybe you should take, or maybe I should take over the internship papers to you, Steve, now that the season's starting to wind down. We can finalize things here for the spring.
Yeah, get him ready to go for the spring semester. That would be perfect. And then we could put him to work for basketball and let him start covering UTEP basketball, among other things, for us. I agree with you. I'd love that. So anyway, I do want to get to more phone calls. We've got lines available, 505-6009. That is our telephone number, 505-6009 here on Sports Talk as we get going on the show. Again, you want to react towards the game from last night? We'd love to hear from you. We are going to give out awards today. We've got Bernie standing by 30 minutes from now. A very happy Bernie Olivas because he had the greatest gain ever in 1 week for the Chick-fil-A Sun Bowl Selectum contest. In fact, he has been grinning since Saturday night. And I think I still see that smile on his face, and that smile will probably be lasting through the rest of today, and we'll tell you why when he comes up and joins us. Bottom of the hour, when we return, we'll not only give out some awards and get more of your reaction and comments, but also how big was that win for the Eagles last night over the Chiefs, and what kind of implications could that have on the NFL. We'll talk about that as well as we send it back right now to Adrian, standing by with this bottom of the hour Sports Center update. Adrian, appreciate that. How about Aaron Rodgers jogging and eyeing practice in 2 weeks? That is interesting to me. He wants to come back in 2 weeks, which means by then the Jets will be 4-8, and the season will practically be over. But that would be something to keep an eye on if that ends up happening. Like, I was looking at the Jets' schedule, right, from here on out with Rodgers. They're going to play the Dolphins, the Falcons, and the Texans all at home. So, they got a chance. They could beat the Falcons at home. As far as the Texans go, that'll be a tough battle for them. And then they got the Dolphins in Miami before they play the Commanders. But then their schedule softens up at the Browns. Let me see who else they play here. At the Browns and at the Patriots to end things. So I'm going to be really interested to see how things go with the Jets the next few weeks. I really am. As far as last night's win by the Eagles, that was a huge statement for them going into Kansas City, beating the Chiefs, and most importantly, the Chiefs still have the division locked up. They got a 2-game lead over Denver, and they've got a 2.5-game lead over the Raiders. So Kansas City is still sitting pretty. But what about the Eagles now? 9-1 after that game, Adrian. So they have the best record in football right now, and that's a pretty big statement win for them going on the road and taking care of business in KC.
Yeah, I still feel like the Eagles and the 49ers are the two best teams in the NFL right now. That's just how I would see it, how it looks right now to me. And I thought Jalen Hurts didn't particularly play well for the Eagles last night, and they still get it done. That's just a testament to this team. I mean, when you really look at the Philadelphia Eagles, they have the best run game across the NFL, bar none. You could throw anybody in that backfield, and they're going to get some yards based on that offensive line. A.J. Brown is one of the more dynamic receivers, and yesterday was Devontae Smith. They didn't even need A.J. Brown to have a stellar game, and the defense got it done as well. I felt like KC had way too many opportunities yesterday, and maybe this game, or in this loss specifically, is better for Kansas City in the long run, knowing that they need to refine some things in their receiving core. Mahomes can have a great game. They can have a productive game from their offensive line, but that still doesn't mean they're going to pull off these games in the late situations. So when you have Mahomes, you always have a chance, but when you don't have skill position players like some of these other top dog teams like the 49ers and Philadelphia Eagles, then that's where Kansas City struggles in these losses.
Eagles have the Bills and 49ers at home over the next 2 weeks, and then at the Cowboys, at the Seahawks. So I think for the next 4 weeks, it's going to be a lot of fun to see what Philadelphia does. A lot of fun. And meanwhile, as far as the Chiefs go, they have, following their home loss to the Eagles over the next 4 weeks, the Raiders on the road, the Packers on the road, home versus the Bills, and at the Patriots. So you think about that. Raiders are still reeling. Packers, it's just not good. And then they got the Buffalo Bills at home. I could easily see, with the Patriots on the road, Kansas City rebounding and going 4-0 the next 4 weeks.
Yeah, I'm at worst. I see them going 2-2, and that's absolutely worst case scenario right there. So I'm with you. I feel like they'll run the table. They'll be right in that conversation with Baltimore for best record in the AFC. Remember, only one team gets a bye out of the out of the AFC, or out of the playoffs, I should say. And I feel like it's really important to get the number 1 or number 2 seed in the AFC, knowing that Houston's kind of lurking there as the 6th seed. You got Cleveland out there. No one wants to play the Browns in the first round of the playoffs, knowing they have a defense like they do. And yeah, that's kind of how I would look at it from a playoff view. Jacksonville, Miami, right behind Kansas City here at 3 and 4 overall in the playoff picture. So yeah, those are the only 2 teams you'd be worried about if you're Kansas City.
I'm with you. And by the way, the Chiefs just need guys that can catch the football. Let's be honest. I mean, I know it wasn't Mahomes' best night. That interception he threw was a bad one, but he had a lot of drops, a lot of plays that should have been points that turned into miscues. So even though Philadelphia hung on to win the football game, if the receivers do what they're supposed to do, Kansas City wins that game yesterday, and there is no W for Philadelphia.
Really disappointed on my side in Justin Watson. I mean, everybody's going to look at the Marquez Valdez-Scantling drop for a touchdown. That was a walk-in touchdown, no doubt about it. But I felt like they could have got more out of Justin Watson. They're just not getting production out of these guys. Kadarius Toney is still a very meh receiver. They're without Richie James, without Justin Ross right now due to injuries. So they're having to do with guys like Mecole Hardman and Rashee Rice, the rookie out of SMU. It's just not a talented wide receiver group, in my opinion. And when you're not having a stellar game from Travis Kelce, who struggled last night as well, then that really sets the Chiefs back.
By the way, the news that the Steelers today fired offensive coordinator Matt Canada, which Mike Tomlin said was his decision alone and nobody else. That's a big move, and you start to think about that. I don't know how many years Canada's been there. I think he's been the Steelers' offensive coordinator since 2021. But how about this? It's the first time, Adrian, that the Steelers have made a head coach or coordinator change in midseason since 1941, according to ESPN Stats and Information Research.
Wow, that just tells you right there. The Steelers are loyal to their staffers, and they never make a change in the season unless something absolutely has to happen. And I think this was long overdue. I mean, come on.
Yep.
Mike Tomlin falling on the sword here, saying it was his decision. Maybe it was. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was a front office decision. Everybody kind of collectively came onto this and said, hey, they've got to move on from Matt Canada. And I think Steeler fans are hoping that maybe this energizes this offense a little bit more and unleashes guys like George Pickens, who's been disappointing as of late, Najee Harris, who he was very critical about the offense. Maybe this re-energizes all of them and the Steelers start to show more offense moving forward.
We'll see. I mean, Eddie Faulkner is going to be the new offensive coordinator for Pittsburgh, but apparently quarterbacks coach Mike Sullivan is going to take the bulk of the play calling responsibilities. So we will see. And this is also an interesting stat. The Steelers are the only team in the NFL where the offensive play caller is neither the offensive coordinator nor the head coach. So we'll see how that ends up going now that Canada is out in Pittsburgh. All right, 39 past the hour. As promised, we have awards to hand out from last night's UTEP win. We'll do that as we continue live out here at Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue, where just for the holidays, you can order a 3.5-pound turkey breast for just $50 or a 7-pound ham spiral glazed for $65. They also have a full catering menu for parties of 100 or more, as well as group meals and a terrific breakfast menu featuring tacos made to order daily until 10 a.m. It's Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue online at rudys.com. Our home today for Sports Talk and UTEP football with Dana Dibble coming up here on 600 ESPN El Paso. Giants ball cap on with his Adidas black Adidas look. He's and he's got his shoes. He's all decked out. He's all Adidas today. Pinky is the best when it comes to that, Adrian. He's just he looks like he works for Adidas.
Good stuff, really Pinky. Yeah, I love it, man.
That's good. That's really good. Hey, we're live. Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue, I-10 Artcraft here with us on the west side of town. Hanging with you till UTEP football with Dana Dimmel. A little more than an hour from now, as we mentioned. Bernie's going to be by at 5 with the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl watch. We'll find out from Bernie who he thinks will be here for the game. We'll pick our games as well, and looking forward to that. This week's guest picker, Adrian, none other than former UTEP quarterback Rocky Perez, who will join us on the phone lines today while we make our picks.
Oh, great news, Steve. It's always great to catch up with Rocky Perez. Either Perez, brother. I love Mike and I love Rocky.
There you go. Me too. All right, let's give out awards from last night's game. And UTEP with a 3-point win over Cal. As a result, they will play Bradley tomorrow, 8:30. Our coverage starts at 8 o'clock on the countdown to tip-off, and then we get ready for the Miners and Bradley in the championship of the SoCal Challenge, the title game from San Luis Capistrano, California. Let's talk about, first off, our hot hand of the game, brought to you by Wind Supply El Paso. A lot of people we could choose here. There were 5 players finishing in double figures. Who gets the hot hand from yesterday's game?
It goes to Calvin Solomon, Steve. I thought he was the best defender on the floor on both sides. The stat sheet won't show it in all the steals, but I love what Calvin Solomon was able to do. He had 2 blocks. He also contributed with 13 points, was 7 for 8 from the free throw line. I know he had a technical, but I thought that was really ticky-tack as far as the technical foul was concerned. And so as a result, for Calvin Solomon Jr., he is our hot hand of the game after last night's performance.
I agree with you there. That's a good one. And I love that. Our hot hand of the game brought to you by Wind Supply of El Paso. By the way, the good news is I know the weather is starting to cool off a little bit, which is nice. It really is, because all of a sudden, folks, highs are now in the 60s and 70s rather than the 80s, 90s, and 100s. And before you know it, things are going to really start to cool off. But let me tell you something. If you want to keep your house nice and warm this winter season, look for a Champion heater and a heating system. In fact, you can go online to windsupplyelpaso.com, click the Find a Dealer tab, and you will see the Champion dealers nearest you, including the certified champion elite dealers. And then just tell them you heard it on 600 ESPN El Paso, and you would like to talk to those folks at Win Supply about getting hooked up with a champion heater. That's the Find a Dealer tab at winsupplyelpaso.com. Now, time for our player of the game, brought to you by Timothy Cantrell. Again, a lot of choices here, Adrian. Who are we going with?
I thought there was only one here on this one, Steve. Tay Hardy. Got to give it to the man who won it for them and hit the buzzer beater to win it for the Miners. 16 points for Tay Hardy. He was also 7 for 9 from the free throw line and contributed in a big way defensively. He had 5 steals, only 2 turnovers in the game, and Tay Hardy playing 32 minutes of action. He was all over the floor and hits the biggest shot of the game. Let's give him the player of the game, brought to you by Timothy Cantrell Realty.
I love that. He's been your trusted real estate agent, folks, with over 20 years of experience. If you're ready to take the next step, you can call or text Timothy at 915-204-8441. And don't forget to follow him on Instagram at Timothy Realtor for the latest listings and tips. All right, so awards have been given out. The Miners will play again coming up tomorrow at 8:30. And good news, Adrian, we will have Miner Talk tomorrow after the UTEP Bradley game.
That's right, Steve. It's a big night for Miner Talk tomorrow. It'll be a while until we get to Saturday, and I was posing the question to the Brain Trust for Miner Talk, and everybody, it was a resounding yes as far as us doing it tomorrow evening, so we're fired up about it. We're ready to go, and yes, Miner Talk presented by the Ostrati at the agency. We'll have it for you right after the game.
Excellent. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of great questions carried over from the win over Cal into the Bradley game. And by the way, this is going to be a very, very tough challenge for UTEP. In fact, I believe as of right now, UTEP is, I think it was about a 3 or 4.5 point underdog against Bradley. I haven't seen the line posted on ESPN, but I think that's what I heard from others that are following this game. So I think UTEP will come in as an underdog to Bradley.
Interesting. I haven't seen any line come out on this game yet, but that's a really interesting one right there. I would expect Bradley to be favorites. They're a top 100 team in college basketball right now. So, yeah, it should be a great one. I'm just really looking forward to the Miners playing against their best opponent right now in Bradley.
I am too, to see what ends up happening when it's all said and done. Yeah, 4.5 point favorites is what Bradley is right now against UTEP. So
nice. Okay.
There you go, 4.5 points. All right. When we come back, Bernie and the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl watch. It's going to be a good one, folks. Can't wait to get the latest as we're close to the matchups, the Thanksgiving parade, a lot going on. We'll catch it all up with Bernie next. It's Sports Talk Live, 600 ESPN El Paso.
Affluence and Adrian Broadus.
And with that, we welcome you back to the show. It's hour number 2 here on Sports Talk. Coming your way live, Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue here on the west side of town. This is real Texas barbecue, folks. In fact, whether it's brisket, you can have the regular or the moist, turkey breast, pork loin, spicy chops, pork ribs, baby back ribs, half chicken, regular or jalapeno sausage, pulled pork, even prime rib on weekends. Rudy's has it for you. They've got smoked potatoes in the mornings, breakfast tacos, sandwiches, everything you might imagine. And just in time for the holidays, they have turkey and ham smoked for you. A 3.5-pound turkey, just $50 for that turkey breast, and a 7-pound spiral glazed ham, $65. Hey, you want to order? You can reserve yours today and pay at pickup here at Rudy's and online at rudys.com. Now, very happy to have the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl watch with Bernie Olivas as we are just 2 days away from the Glasheen, Valles, and Inderman Sun Bowl Thanksgiving parade right around the corner. And then, before you know it, it will be the announcement for the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl game. Welcome back, and man, oh man, are you ready for Thanksgiving, Bernie?
Absolutely. We've been out there with Joe Dabak, our special events director, helping put the final touches on the floats. And if you like color, boy, you need to get out here to this parade. Some of those floats are so colorful; they really look good.
Oh, that's awesome!
And of course, the theme is rock and roll extravaganza, and it's going to be a lot of good music going down the parade route. So I can encourage everybody to come on out. The weather's supposed to be really nice, so come on out.
Weather-wise, it will be really nice. In fact, probably in the morning, somewhere in the 40s, warming up to the 50s, high of 61. A perfect Thanksgiving here in El Paso.
No rain and apparently no wind. So come on out and enjoy it before you go out and go back home and eat some turkey and, I guess, watch the Cowboys.
Now, that's that's usually a tradition for a lot of people out there. And then we've got college football Thanksgiving weekend. We've got the NFL playing on a Friday, Black Friday as well. A lot of football for fans, that's for sure.
And we're getting close to see who is going to find out who is going to play in the 90th Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl football game on December 29th.
All right, let's start with what we think could happen. Let's begin first with the Pac-12, since this is the final year of the Pac-12, the way it stands, although don't tell that to Washington State and Oregon State, because they are now going to be in total control of this conference, at least for the time being. Bernie, what are we looking at as far as potential teams that could be coming to El Paso?
Yeah, there's an important game being played in the Pac-12 side, and that's Oregon State at Oregon. Mm-hmm. They're both pretty good football teams. But if Oregon State would happen to be in Oregon, I think it's going to work out well for us. As a matter of fact, I still think that the Pac-12 is going to get two teams in the New Year's Six. And I sat there with Jay Pritchard, our marketing director, and went over every scenario possible. And I think the possible teams for the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl right now, if all the favorites win,
okay,
would be a USC, a Utah, a UCLA, and that's about it.
Could we possibly see Oregon State if they lose to Oregon? Could that fall into play?
I would say probably
long shot?
A long shot only because my friend over at the Holiday Bowl has said that they would like Oregon State and they pick ahead of us. And so I think they will take him, but I think, be honest with you, I think it's going to be down to USC or Utah, and both of those teams would do us very, very well.
Now, you mentioned UCLA. We obviously know that if you've been to the game last year, that means that you do not have to pick them a second time in a row. However, it is important to note that UCLA reached out to you to ask about potential interest for them coming back and playing in the bowl again next month.
The only way that UCLA could possibly wind up in the Tony Tiger Sun Bowl is if, and this is a big if the Pac-12 would get three teams in the New Year's Six. One in the Rose Bowl, one in the Fiesta Bowl, because you have Washington, Oregon, and Oregon State could possibly, if they beat Oregon this weekend, they have a possibility of going to New Year's Six. It's a long, long shot, but if that would happen, then UCLA would fall into our laps again.
Wow. Okay, so those are essentially the possibilities. That's the Pac-12 side.
That's correct.
What about, for now, what we're seeing on the ACC? It's a little different than the Pac because normally you pool teams and you list your choices from one down, and then the conference looks to assign teams to different bowls. What are you hearing right now for the ACC?
There's a key game this week in the ACC, and that would be there's two of them: Clemson at South Carolina, and the North Carolina against North Carolina State.
Okay,
those are pretty key games. If Clemson beats South Carolina, which I think they're favored, then they would be out of our picture. They'd go to a bowl. They'd go either the Gator Bowl, the Pop-Tarts Bowl, or the what's the other Gator Bowl?
There's a Pop-Tarts Bowl?
Holiday, and yes, there used to be the Cheez-Its Bowl.
The Cheez-Its Bowl is now the Pop-Tarts Bowl.
Pop-Tarts Bowl. I point out that they're both Kellogg's brands. They're both Kellogg's brands, so Kellogg's has they're sponsoring three bowl games. The Cheez-Its, which is another Orlando game.
Yeah.
And then they have the Pop-Tarts and the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl.
Would they dump Cheez-Its on the winning coach like they dump Frosted Flakes? Has that been a
After
tradition?
they watched us on TV, yeah.
They decided they want to do that.
Everybody's doing that. And French
Yeah,
fries,
but here's the
mayo.
question. I've seen
all
ads.
all kinds of things are being dumped on there. And that started with Arizona State when they poured Frosted Flakes over Herm.
I remember. I don't know how you dump Pop-Tarts on a coach because they're large, and that would actually – Adrian, don't you feel like that would hurt if somebody tried to dump Pop-Tarts on a coach?
Maybe they have those like Pop-Tart minis or like Pop-Tart cereal or something like that. Maybe there's something different from Pop-Tart that you can actually like shower a coach on.
Yeah, that's a new trend now. We'll see what happens. But we like our Frosted Flakes. Believe it or not, we've thought of putting milk.
Oh, my God. How like a syrup?
And make it a real, Gatorade bath.
That would be wild.
Like they used to, but...
Well, but here's the thing. If you did that, you would have to put the milk in right before you pour it on them because the last thing you want is soggy cereal. You want to make sure that the cereal that's poured on him is still crispy and not soggy.
We won't do it because UTEP has a brand new turf on there, and we do not want to put any foreign substance on that thing. So you can vacuum up all the Frosted Flakes you want to, but I think
milk would be tough.
I think milk would leave a stain. We're not going to do that.
Yeah, you don't want to have a milk stain on the new field. That would be a disaster for you. Okay, so let's just say if Clemson is not involved, who else could be in the mix to go opposite potentially Utah or USC?
And like I said, we'll know for sure on December 3rd, but I believe that if Clemson is out of our picture, I think the next step would be Miami, which would be really good. How about a USC-Miami matchup in the Tony Tiger Sun Bowl? That'd be a great matchup. Now, like I said, it's a great. Luckily, we're looking at the names on the front of the shirts and not the ones on the back. But we all know that if USC comes, and I think there's a big possibility that USC could be here. Caleb Williams will probably not play, and a lot of those guys will not play. But still, we're looking at the names on the front of the shirts, not the ones on the back. And I still think that USC against Miami would be a great matchup. Last year, Pitt lost his, Pickett lost, he decided not to play. Mm-hmm. And Patty came in and did a heck of a job and won the game. So they're all good teams. They all have good players. But, it could still be, Oregon State probably not, only because I've been told that the Holiday Bowl wants them. But Utah would be a great team to have here. USC would be a great team to have here. Mm-hmm. For a while, we thought we had a shot at Arizona, but boy, they are playing some pretty good football.
Lights
right
out,
now.
lights
out football. They have Arizona State, and I think that if they beat Arizona State, I think they might wind up someplace like the Alamo Bowl. So it's very interesting. Again, we have to wait till December 3rd, but. On the other side, there's still all kinds of possibilities. There's a lot of teams that can wind up with the same record. So not only Miami, but Georgia Tech is there, Duke is there, North Carolina State or UNC might be there, depending on who wins their game. So
a lot of choices.
The choices will be plenty. But in talking to my colleagues and the other executive directors of the bowls that are in our system, it looks like Miami might be available unless something weird happens. And any of those teams are good. I think I've been saying it all year because they've had such great non-conference records that I think that I thought we were going to have a great matchup, and I think it's going to come to fruition.
Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, Miami is 6-5, and that's they've got the Friday game against BC. But if they win that and they go 7-5. You could have Miami, USC. I think that would be a pretty popular one for a lot of people, including CBS.
That's right, and and BC is also bowl eligible too. So,
that's right.
So if they lose, they'd still be bowl eligible. So there's a chance that they might have a chance. But we would probably have a team that's probably 7-5, a little bit better coming to the game.
Good for you. I'm excited. Okay, as we get ready for the Chick-fil-A Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl contest. Our special guest, as we mentioned before, Rocky Perez, former UTEP quarterback and somebody that knows El Paso very well. Before we get to Rocky and get our picks this week, I got to ask you, you went and skyrocketed up the Chick-fil-A Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl Selectum contest standings. You were 8 out of 10. In fact, Adrian and I were talking about this. You could have come so close to winning all 10 games last year.
It was close.
It was close. But you go 8 out of 10. I go 4 out of 10, and Adrian goes 4 out of 10.
I think that leapfrogs me to the top, does it not?
You have a 1-game lead over me now after that.
There you go.
1-game lead. So
there you go.
And is this our last week picking games?
Well, we have Championship Saturday next weekend.
Do we count that Championship Saturday for our
first? I think we have in the past.
Okay, so you have 2 weeks left to go. Adrian, you are, I believe, are you 2 or 3 back of me?
Okay, so the scoring right now, 84 Bernie, 83 you, Steve, and 81 yours truly.
Okay, so you can still do it. And by the way, I went from, this is interesting, I went from picking 8 out of 10 in Week 10, 9 out of 10 in Week 11, to 4 out of 10 in Week 12. I finally had the clunker that I was waiting for because last week was so tough.
I'm still waiting for a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Get that one of these years.
Yeah, good luck. I wish for that too. We're going to bring Rocky on next. We're going to pick games. But before we do, Bernie, I want to play a little trivia. Give somebody a chance to win a pair of tickets to the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl coming up on December 29th.
Here's a good one. There's only one college football game on Thanksgiving Day, which you can watch, of course, after the Glasheen Bias Interman Injury Lawyer Sun Bowl Parade. That game is Ole Miss versus Mississippi State. Only college game is going to be played on Thanksgiving afternoon. For 2 tickets to the 90th annual Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl game, how many times has each of those teams played in the Sun Bowl and in what years?
Okay.
That is Ole Miss and Mississippi State. How many times has each of those teams played in the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl, and what years did they play?
It's a good question.
I think it's a good one.
I like that one a lot. 505-6009, our telephone number. First person with the correct answer wins. We'll pick games next. Hopefully have a trivia winner, and we'll say hello to Rocky Perez right after Charlie 1 in this traffic update. UTEP football with Dana Dimmel. We've got Bernie Olivas here right now, our Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl watch, and it's our weekly segment. We call this the Chick-fil-A Tony the Tiger Selectum Contest with our special guest picker this week, former UTEP quarterback and one of our favorites, Rocky Perez, will be joining us to pick games. Rocky, it's been a long time since we've had a chance to talk to you. I know you're joining us out there from your home in San Antonio. How are you?
I'm doing good. Can you guys hear me?
We hear you fine. You sound great.
Yes. No, I'm doing well. I got my family out here. We're getting ready to head out to Houston for Thanksgiving. I have my middle son in a soccer tournament this weekend down there, so we're actually going to be spending Thanksgiving in H-Town. So everything's going well. My kids, my family, I couldn't complain. I do miss El Paso. I actually get to travel out there a lot for work, so it's like my second home. Plus my wife's family's from there, so we miss them dearly, and I visited a lot. And I miss UTEP football, that's for sure.
Well, listen, it's great to have you back. We're about to start picking games. We'll explain how this works. But before we do, Michael Alarcon is our winner for our Sun Bowl trivia. How about that, Bernie? Michael Alarcon able to take care of our trivia quiz today.
Oh, well, that's congratulations. And like I said, the question was that there's only one college football game to be played on Thanksgiving Day in a couple of days, and that would be Ole Miss versus Mississippi State. And the winner would get 2 tickets to the Tony Tiger Sun Bowl if he could name the teams and what years they played in the Sun Bowl. And he correctly guessed that Ole Miss has played one time in the Tony Tiger Sun Bowl, and that was in 1967, and they actually lost to UTEP 14-7. And Mississippi State has played in the Sun Bowl 2 times, once in 1974 versus North Carolina, which they beat 26-24, and in 1980 versus Nebraska, who they lost 31-17. So congratulations on getting the right answer, and we'll see you on December the 29th at noon at the Sun Bowl Stadium for the 90th annual Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl football game.
All right, there we go. That is it. That's all Michael had to do, and he took care of it. Very impressive, and happy for him. So now we get the opportunity to go shift over, picking games, And here's how this is going to work, Rocky. We have 10 games in the ACC and the Pac-12. I'll give you the matchups. We'll go through the point spreads for entertainment purposes only and for information purposes only. But all we really need is your prediction, and all four of us will see who ends up winning the most. Like Bernie last week when he took home 8 out of 10. He did really well. So I know. I'm telling you, Bernie's he's still gloating about that. He really is.
I'd had a bad year up until then.
But you redeemed yourself. You redeemed yourself in 1 week. I'm so impressed. Which takes us to game number 1. And we'll start off with you, Rocky. It's 6-5 Miami visiting 6-5 Boston College. This game is going to be at Alumni Stadium in Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts. They're the same record. BC is 3-4 in the ACC. Miami is 2-5 in the ACC. And Miami, 8-point road favorites in this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I'm gonna go with Miami. I thought they had a heartbreaking loss, and I feel like they're up for redemption and want to get to a better bowl. So I'm gonna go with Miami.
All right, Miami it is, which takes us now to Bernie. Bernie, Rocky goes Miami. How about you?
I agree with Rocky. I think Miami. They're both bowl eligible already, but I think Miami is playing to play in a higher bowl, and I think they will. I think they will beat Boston College.
All right. Adrian, your turn.
I'm going Miami as well. Steve, are you going the U so we could be 4 for 4, or are you going different?
4 for 4, my friend. All picking Miami in this one. So there we go. We're off the ground, and everybody is going with Miami. That takes us to the Friday game, 6:30. It'll be on Fox. Number 11, Oregon State visiting number 6, Oregon. Oregon's 10-1, 7-1 in the Pac-12. Oregon State is 8-3, 5-3 in the Pac-12. It's in Eugene. It's the Civil War. And Oregon, Bernie, 13.5-point favorites over the Beavers.
I think that Oregon is playing for a lot more than Oregon State is playing for this week. They are playing at home. I am going with the Ducks. They are looking for a CFP position if they can get by Oregon State and Washington. So I'm taking the Ducks.
All right, Adrian, your turn.
No question. I'm not picking with the Beavers. I'm picking the Ducks in this one. I think Oregon might be the second best team in the Pac-12. It's obviously evident by their record and where they stand right now. Give me the Ducks.
3 for 3. I'm also going Oregon at home over Oregon State. Rocky, what about you?
Yeah, I'm going to say Oregon as well, although I don't think they'll cover the spread. It's a rivalry game. I think it's going to be a closer game than that, but I will go with Oregon to win that game.
All right. That takes us to game number 3. And game number 3 is going to feature Duke and Pittsburgh. Duke is 6-5, 3-4 in the ACC. Pitt is 3-8, 2-5 in the ACC. It's in Durham at Wallace Wade Stadium. The Blue Devils, 6-point favorites, Adrian, at home.
Give me the Blue Devils. I know they lost last week, and I know they've lost actually back-to-back, but I feel like they need a big win to close out the season to justify their bowl appearance coming up here soon. I feel like they finish out 7-5 on the season.
All right. So far, there it is. Adrian's going Duke. I will go Duke as well. We are 2 for 2. Now it's your turn, Rocky.
I'm going to go with Duke also. I think there's a lot riding on the season, and I think the coach wants to make a statement as well, so I'm going to go Duke.
All right, Bernie, your turn.
Yeah, I like Duke. I like Duke. I like their coach. I like Pitt. I like their coach. Pitt pulled off a win last week that I didn't think they were going to do. But at home, and again, Duke's one of those teams playing for a lot more than everybody else. I am going with the Blue Devils.
All right, let's go to Game 4. It's Wake Forest visiting Syracuse. Wake is 4-7, 1-6 in the ACC. Syracuse is 5-6, 1-6 in the ACC. So they're both 1-6. It's at JMA Wireless Dome in Syracuse, New York, and the Cuse 3-point favorites. I'll lead us off with this, gentlemen. I'm going Syracuse because if they win, they're bowl eligible. Wake Forest cannot be bowl eligible. Syracuse can. They got a ton to play for here. And for that, Rocky, I'll take Syracuse at home.
I'm going to do the same. Like you said, playing for a bowl is a big deal. So I'm going to go with them at home.
All right. Bernie, your turn.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed with Wake Forest this year. I thought they were going to be really, really good. Syracuse has been down a little bit. I tell you what, they haven't been to a bowl game in a while. I am going with the Orange.
And Adrian.
I think Wake plays spoiler here. They've lost 4 in a row. The Demon Deacons have recently lost 45-7 against Notre Dame. I feel like they get right, they shock people, and they beat Syracuse this weekend. Give me Wake Forest.
Game number 5, number 22 Utah at home against Colorado. Colorado's 4-7, 1-7 in the Pac-12. Utah 22nd in the country, 7-4, 4-4 in the Pac-12. It's in Salt Lake City, and Utah, Rocky, 22-point favorites.
I was unfortunate to go play up there in Utah. It's a very tough place to play. I'm going to take Utah in this one, although I think Colorado will give them a good game. I'm going to stick with the Utes for this one.
All right, Bernie, your turn.
See, and I think Colorado's mailed it in. I think they have nothing to play for. They've had a rough end of the year. Utah would like to get into one of those upper echelon games again. A lot of teams are playing for a lot of things this weekend and next weekend, but I am sticking with the Utes.
All right, Adrian, your turn.
I finally quit Colorado. It just took 11 games, Steve, so I'll take Utah.
Good. We're all unanimous going Utah in this one. Game number 6, Virginia Tech and Virginia. Virginia's 3-8, 2-5 in the ACC. Virginia Tech is 5-6, 4-3 in the ACC. It's in Charlottesville, Virginia at Scott Stadium, and Tech 3-point road favorites. Bernie.
And they will win it. I think they'll win it by a lot more than 3 points. I am going with Virginia Tech.
Adrian.
I'm going Virginia. Virginia's looked frisky these past couple weeks. Give me the Cavaliers at home.
I'm with Bernie. Virginia Tech is playing for everything on the line, including a chance to be bowl eligible. I'll take Tech, which sends us now to Rocky.
I'm going to go with Virginia at home in this rivalry game. I like their quarterback. I think he's scrappy. I think they're going to pull off the upset. I'm going to go with Virginia.
All right, Virginia it is, which takes us now to our next game, and that is going to be number 16 Arizona visiting Arizona State. It is the annual rivalry that a lot of us get pretty excited about. Although this year it's been a tale of two teams. Arizona State is home, but they're 3-8, 2-6 in the Pac-12, playing for pride, while Arizona is 17th in the country, 8-3, 6-2 in the Pac-12. Arizona, Adrian, 10.5-point road favorites in Tempe.
They've won 5 in a row, make it 6 after this weekend. No matchup required for the Wildcats in this game. They absolutely dominate the Sun Devils, who are reeling this year.
All right, we're in agreement. I also think Arizona will win. Rocky, what about you?
Absolutely, Arizona. They're one of the teams I don't think anybody wants to play right now. They've had a great season, great turnaround, and like Bernie said, I'd love to see them down here in the Alamo Bowl. That'd be awesome.
Bernie, wrap it up with you.
If you look at the history of this game, every time one of these two teams needed to win their game to go somewhere, either to a bowl or to be bowl eligible or to have a winning season, that team lost. But not this week. Arizona, I think they'll cover. I think they're going to win by more than 10.
All right. Hey, we got 3 games to go. We'll pick them next right after this bottom of the hour Sports Center update. Adrian standing by with the latest. Thank you very much. All right, we got 3 games to go. We're back right now with not only Bernie Olivas, the executive director of the Sun Bowl Association, but also Rocky Perez, our special guest picker this week, former UTEP quarterback, who's going to lead us off in a minute. But before we do, let's get to game number 7. I'll have the honors of starting us off for number 17, Notre Dame, visiting Stanford. The Irish, 8-3, Stanford, 3-8. It's at Stanford Stadium. Notre Dame, 26-point favorites. I know these two teams have a lot of history here, but Rocky, the way this season has gone for both, I see Notre Dame winning and winning pretty convincingly here.
I'm going to have to agree with you, Steve. They looked pretty good last week, and they have a lot to play for, and they're a very deep team. I think they're going to take care of business as well.
All right, Bernie.
Go Fighting Irish.
And Adrian.
No question about it, Notre Dame.
Okay. 2 games to go. This one is an interesting one, for a lot of reasons, okay? It is your in-state battle, North Carolina visiting North Carolina State. NC State is 22nd in the country. They're 5-2 in the league, 8-3 at home. North Carolina is 8-3 as well, 4-3 in the ACC. It's going to be in Raleigh at Carter Finley Stadium. North Carolina, 3-point road favorites, Rocky, in the big one.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Tar Heels. I was fortunate enough to see Drake May play in the first game of the year against South Carolina live, and I'm a big Mac Brown fan in big games. I think he's one of the best coaches. I'm going to go with the Tar Heels on the road.
All right, Tar Heels it is. What about you, Bernie?
Again, two of my favorite coaches out there, Mac Brown and Dave Doran, are awesome. They've both been at Sun Bowl before. I've seen them both play. I saw Drake May play, in person. But I tell you what, in person, he's a totally different. Totally different quarterback. He is so good when you look at him in person. His arm strength, his accuracy, and I like NC State, but I have to go with the Tar Heels.
All right, Adrian, your turn.
So I have a wish that the North Carolina Tar Heels will be at the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl. So for that wish to come true, I'm hoping that number 22 NC State wins, so I'll pick them, the Wolfpack, this weekend.
I'm in agreement with you, and I think people really have to realize NC State has won 4 in a row. They beat Miami. They beat Clemson. They're home in this one. I'm going to go NC State as well, Adrian, and think they'll handle North Carolina, which could send the Tar Heels to El Paso. Final game of the week, and that is going to be UCLA and Cal. UCLA is 7-4, 4-4 in the Pac-12. They're hosting 5-6 California. 3-5 in the Pac-12. It's at the Rose Bowl. UCLA, Bernie, 8.5-point favorites.
I thought UCLA got off to a bad start this year and have been improving and getting better and getting better and getting better. And I think, Cal, they're 5-6. They need this game badly to become bowl eligible, but I don't think they're going to do it. I think UCLA will prevail here.
All right, your turn, Adrian.
Give me UCLA in this one, although this will be the last time we see Cal versus UCLA in a while. I mean, this one will not be a conference game anymore after this year, so maybe we cherish this weekend. Cal, UCLA, I'll stick with the Bruins.
I'm with you guys. As much as I love to see Cal get bowl eligible, I just don't think they beat UCLA in this one, especially when UCLA can finish 8-4, and looking forward to seeing which bowl they'll end up with. I will say Bruins as well, which takes us to Rocky. Rocky, are you in agreement, or are you going to go Cal with the upset?
I'd love to take the upset, but I don't think so. Rose Bowl is a tough place to play. UCLA has a lot riding on it, and I agree with Bernie. They started off a little bit slow, but they've been picking it up as of lately, and they're playing strong. I'm going to go with the Bruins as well.
All right. That takes us to our tiebreaker. Total number of points scored during the Oregon State-Oregon game. Rocky, you have the honors in this one.
The total number of points, I'm going to say 76.
Let me give you the over-under just so you're aware. The over-under is 62.5.
Ooh. Okay. Maybe not so high scoring then. I'll say 65.
65 for Rocky. What about you, Bernie?
That's what I had. I had 65 as well.
65 for Bernie. Adrian?
I locked in 64. We must have been on the same wavelength over here.
I love it. I'm 67. So we're all going over, but not by a ton, which is good. Well, Rocky, congratulations. You survived our weekly segment here for the Chick-fil-A Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl Selectum contest, and hopefully you enjoyed it as much as we did.
Absolutely. It's always a pleasure to touch base with you guys. Like I said, I miss El Paso and look forward to visiting you again soon. So appreciate for having me.
Hey, Rocky, you were the quarterback in 1997 when UTEP pulled the big upset against BYU, were you not?
I was, but unfortunately I got hit so hard that game I don't remember much of it. But, yes, I was.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that, but that was the year after BYU had won the national championship, I believe. Came into town, and I don't know. I was at that. I know I was at that game, but I think there's been 100,000 people who have said that they were at that game. But if you remember, if anybody was really there wasn't 10,000 people in that stadium. But that was such a big win. Carried the goalpost out, up and threw him over over the stands in the back. I don't know, a lot of people who are listening know that, but congratulations on that. We still talk about that game. Just want to let everybody know that you were the one that pulled that huge upset against BYU in the Sun Bowl Stadium.
Yeah, I have so many great memories of the Sun Bowl, especially my senior year, selling out the Sun Bowl the last three games of the year. Incredible place, beautiful place to play. So I miss that for sure.
I hope we bring that back, Rocky. I really do. I hope we get that same kind of feeling back. But, hey, listen, in the meantime, happy Thanksgiving to you, the family, and we appreciate you giving us a little time and joining us here on our Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl Watch.
Thank you, Rocky.
Thank you, guys. Happy Thanksgiving to you guys as well. Y'all have a great one.
Rocky Perez, folks, as we get ready to wrap things up with Bernie. Well, you got the parade coming up on Thursday. You're going to be part of the broadcast team for the parade, aren't you?
Yeah, I usually am. Like I said, I've been out at the warehouse watching floats go up, so I'll try to give a little expertise on how they were built and what they're about. But they are some beautiful floats out there this year. Very colorful. Again, the theme is rock and roll extravaganza. And our Grand Marshal is Tough Hittiman, 3-time world champion bull rider. So come on out. The weather's going to be fantastic. Starts at 10 o'clock on Ochoa. Goes east on Montana for 2.7 miles. Ends at Copia.
When's the best time to get there if you're looking for a good parking spot and just a good spot in the parade in general?
Wednesday about 7 p.m. You know what? It is amazing. I right before I go home on Wednesday night, you go down Montana, and there are so many people camped out on those curbs to make sure they get a good thing. Want to remind a good seat, but want to remind you that we do have grandstand tickets if you don't want to sit on the curb. They're $10. It is at the 1600 Montana, run the parade route. Got grandstands there. You can sit there, enjoy. You got your private bathrooms there, and you get parking. Of course, parking is a first come first serve. In the back of the grandstand. So if you don't want to stand, come on out. $10 a ticket, and again, you get to sit and watch the parade go by.
Fantastic. Bernie, happy Thanksgiving to you. It's always great to see you. Appreciate you coming over to Rudy's today for us, and we'll look forward to having you back and talking to you again next week as we get a little more clarity regarding our Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl matchup.
More fun I have all week most of the time. This is great. Thank you very much for doing this. You too, Adrian. Thanks a lot. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy
there
Thanksgiving
he is, Bernie
to you,
Olivas,
Bernie.
folks. Love that. As we get ready to wrap up our 2 hours together, UTEP football with Dana Dimel coming up here at 6 o'clock, so stay with us. We are live, folks. Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue out here on the west side, I-10 and Artcraft, 6 to 7 with special guest UTEP quarterback Cade McConnell right here, 600 ESPN El Paso.